What is going on, everyone? We're back with another video. If you could not tell by the thumbnail title of this video, we are doing my January manga haul. Now, technically I'm cheating because I'm recording this video on February 7th, and two of these manga I actually got today, but it was because by the time I really was gonna do this whole video, I finished the volume previous to the two volumes I got today, and I was like, I have to go get it. And since I got it, I was like, might as well throw it in the manga haul. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it because I know you're here to see the manga. So first thing we got up, Way of Kings by Brayton. No, I'm kidding. That would have been crazy if like I just started doing like regular books just cause like that's it. Like just pretend this whole manga thing didn't exist. But no, anyway, first book I got for you today. We'll go with Viz Media first. Yu Yu Hakusho, Volume 8. I'm really just waiting until I collect all of these to read it. I really enjoyed the anime growing up. It was one of my favorite anime. You gotta love the theme song. So yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho, Volume 8. This was actually pretty difficult to find at the time when I got it. I got it like at the beginning of January, but difficult to find. Not easy. Next, we have by Hajime Komoto, we have Mashle, Magic and Muscles, Volume 18. This is the final volume. I will be reading this now that I've had the whole thing. I do have to start over because this was a series I picked up really early and read like the first 10, 15 chapters, and then I just never got back to it. It wasn't that I disliked it, I just couldn't get back to it because I was just reading so much stuff. So, Volume 18, I will be reading that this year. That is a goal of mine. Next, from Viz Media by Gege Akutami is Jujutsu Kaisen, Volume 24. This volume contains everything that, well, not this volume, but up until this volume, contains everything that will be in Season 3. I think Volume 25 will have everything from the beginning to Season 3. So when Season 3 comes out, I will be reading this and hopefully trying to get to that point, at least by the end of Season 3. Like by the time Jujutsu Kaisen is done showing, I will hopefully be at the end of that, but we'll see. Like that's kind of a goal, but like I don't want to add too much to my TBR because my biggest thing is like I want to finish my TBR last year. I didn't really finish my TBR in the way I did. There was a lot of books I left in the middle of. There was a lot of books that by the end of the year I didn't even start. So this year my TBR was much shorter, and because I want to finish those books. So I'm not going to try to add too much to it. Mashle I definitely want to read just because I've started it. Jujutsu Kaisen I might just wait until the end of Season 3 and then start reading it. We'll see. But I'm caught up on the anime. Have not read a single volume of the manga, but I really enjoy the anime, and so hopefully I can get to that. Next, we have Volume 11 of Dan Dan by Yuki Butatsu. This, I mean, what is there left to say about Dan Dan? It's a fantastic series. Volume 10 was phenomenal. Have I read Volume 11 yet? No, I haven't read Volume 11 yet. I had to look. I will be reading this soon. You know, as these come out, I go ahead and read it. This actually was in my local Barnes & Noble early. Like, it's out by now by the time I'm recording this video, but like when I first saw this, I think it was still another 4 or 5 days before it was supposed to release, and my local Barnes & Noble had it. Between that and then something I'm going to show later, I'm surprised. My Barnes & Noble stepping it up. Next, we have Hirayasumi by Kigo Shinzo. This is Volume 3. As you all know, this is like a wholesome series just about a guy living with his cousin. He inherits this house from this old lady that he met that eventually ends up passing away. So yeah, I want to get into this. I just haven't had the time, but I definitely want to get into this and start reading it. I think I have so much like stuff that's about. I'm reading Berserk. I'm reading Soul Leveler. I'm reading Gachi Yakuta. I'm reading so much. The Boxer even. I'm reading so much with action. I kind of want to read something that's a little more like level. So this is actually what I'm considering reading. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Next, we have Boys Abyss by Ryo Minami. Ryo Minami. I'm probably butchering that, but Boys Abyss is something I've been eyeing for a very long time. As you can see, it's wrapped in plastic, so it's fantastic. I haven't said that in a long time, but Boys Abyss, basically it's about this guy who lives in a small town, and eventually he runs into this pop star who works at a convenience store or something like that. And so they kind of build some type of relationship there. But there's some interesting stuff in here from what I've read. I actually read a little bit too much, because on my spreadsheet, on my manga spreadsheet, I also have the genre it fits in. So trying to find information about like kind of what genre it is to put in my spreadsheet. I've read a little more than I would want to. What I read probably wouldn't be something I couldn't find in the first volume, but considering I haven't read the first volume yet, I was like, but I'm not going to tell you what I found because I don't want that to, I felt like it was a little too much, at least to know what I'm reading. Next, by Sui Yoshida, we have Chojin X. I've heard so many things about Chojin X as far as it being not as good as Tokyo Ghoul, which Tokyo Ghoul, as you all know, is my favorite manga of all time. So I'm not expecting this to be Tokyo Ghoul, but what I will say is just learning like the background of it and the basis of it, it doesn't sound too far from Tokyo Ghoul. So I don't know with its resemblance to Tokyo Ghoul how much I like it, especially coming from the same mangaka and then just like really just copy a lot of the same things. I don't know when I'll get to that. I was supposed to read it soon, but I actually decided to, because I was going to read this and see if I was going to like it to continue collecting it. But then I randomly decided I'm going to not start over with Tokyo Ghoul, but I'm going to read volumes 13 and 14 of Tokyo Ghoul before I go into Tokyo Ghoul Re. So then that kind of fell to the wayside, but I will read it just because I do want to. I like Sui Yoshida. I like the work that he does, of course. So I just want to see if I'll continue collecting it. Next, by Takehiko Inoue, we have Vagabond, volume 37. This is just the single volume because this is the last of all the stuff we got from Takehiko Inoue about Vagabond. I know that once he finishes Real, he's going to continue with Vagabond, but this is the last volume of all the works that we have from him as far as Vagabond is concerned. Can't wait to start reading Vagabond. I'm very, very excited for it. That's on my TBR for this year. So when I'll get to it, I don't know. I'm going through Berserk a lot slower than I anticipated just because as I'm reading Berserk, there's so many things I like about it. I'm constantly like taking notes, and so I'm just like not reading it as fast as I thought I would. But I do need to pick up on that. But it's like a study session when I'm reading Berserk. Like that's how I feel I have to be because there's so many minute details that end up just kind of all going and helping build the story outside of what you just see on the surface. So I'm really enjoying it. It's just taking me a little longer, but I do kind of want to pick it up and move a little quicker. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll find a balance. But yeah, it's every time I read Berserk, it's an experience in a good way. So that's why it's hard for me to be like, oh, I'm gonna just read it. Like, no, I kind of want to really digest it. But I could always reread it. So maybe I'll do that. I am doing a video on the Black Swordsman arc and just talking about how like it's almost like, because I know everybody talks about the Golden Age arc, and that's really what set Berserk up to be what it is today. But I think the Black Swordsman arc has a lot of good. That was the setup for the setup, if that makes any sense. And I think that I just want to give it that credit. But plus, there was so much in there, so I just want to talk about it. Next, by Takehiko Inoue, we have the deluxe edition. As you already know, I've already showed this on the channel before. When I do start reading Vagabond, I'm probably going to read this first just to get a feel of it. I'm still not sold on like how it's built, but maybe like spending some time with it and reading it, maybe in this format instead of the Viz Big. When I read it, as the Viz Big, the best thing I like about it is the spines, of course. Which can you see it from here? Yeah, it's like right there somewhere. Is the spine, so I don't think the content inside is really any different. So I probably will try reading this, see if like maybe just reading it in this format maybe change my mind, but we'll see. I'm not sure about that. And I think that does everything. That's everything for Viz. Yeah, that is. So next, we'll go to IZE Press. I only have one manga and one manga only, but I just got it. Well, technically, Mama, I always say this. I'm sorry, but The Boxer by JH. I know Volume 9. I know Volume 8. It was okay. Like, I thought it was okay, especially considering following up from Volume 7. I thought Volume 7 was the single best volume of anything I've read. And maybe that's changed now that I've read Berserk, because I would probably say, like, off the top of my head, maybe like volume 3 or 2 of Berserk might be that. But anyway, really, really love volume 7. Volume 8 was okay. Like, it just felt like the tone kind of changed a little bit. But now that I think about it, Volume 7, the tone and just the mood of it was so heavy. It did need to pick me up, and that's exactly what Volume 8 was. But Volume 8 still has some interesting moments as well. So mine, we moved to Volume 9. I think it's getting real spooky in Volume 9, so I'm excited for that. This, Donadon, anytime a new volume comes out, I read immediately. So hopefully I'll be reading that soon. But yeah, I'm very, 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 very excited to get into that. So that's the only IZE press book we have. So now we'll move. I'm trying to decide if I want to do Kodansha or all these Kodansha. We'll do Seven Seas because Seven Seas is a little smaller and they're familiar series. So, well, actually, no, they're not. Not at all. They're not. Only one is familiar. But we'll just go ahead and pick Seven Seas because I already picked it up. First manga we have is The Strange House by Yuketsu, and the art is by Kiyo Ayano. I know I'm butchering these names, but I'm trying. And this is just about, they bring in a consultant who's normally good for, is it just supernatural? Yeah, for supernatural stuff. But this strange house, I know I hate to use the title like that, but this strange house is different than anything he's ever seen before. So sounds like my alley, sounds cool. I really got this because it's been on my list, but I was rounding out an Amazon order. So I was like, oh, I'll throw in a manga. That's how I end up getting a lot of manga, is if I already am making an order for Amazon and I'm like $15 off for making like a smooth 100 come out my account, like instead of like the 85 or something like that, I'll throw just a volume of manga in there and try something out. So that was what I'm going to try out. And this is I'll probably be reading soon just to know, my future with it and see how much I like it. We'll go with something else unfamiliar, and then we'll save the familiar one for last. Hikari Man by Hideo Yamamoto. I just, as you all know, I say just, but like end of November, I think I finished Homunculus, and I really, really enjoyed that. There were some iffy moments in there, but overall I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought I wouldn't say it taught me a lot, but it taught me a lot about the manga and like how up until that point, most of the manga I ever read I read seinen, but a lot of it was shonen related. Even if it was seinen, it had some shonen components. I think you could look at Tokyo Ghoul as one of those where it's definitely a seinen, but it has some shonen components. Hideo Yamamoto just did a fantastic job with Homunculus, and I think that was like really what elevated it for me, was that manga can really do this. Like, I know saying it in terms of Berserk, especially now, and then Vinland Saga just by watching the anime, but what Homunculus was able to do was, even Berserk, at least at where I'm at in Berserk, has not touched on kind of how far you can really, really go. Because even Berserk is just it feels like while there's definitely some deeper elements in there that like maybe you wouldn't understand until you're older, my age, an old man. I think that Homunculus just elevates that even more, because Berserk still is at the end of the day a lot of fighting and stuff like that. So it's just like an older shonen in a way, but Homunculus was just like that step above. And that's kind of what we're getting here with Hikari Man, where I don't think it's going to be the step above as I think Homunculus is. My step above, I do want to clarify, step above, I'm just simply saying like it's just darker in a way where it's like psychologically darker instead of just not the mood and thematics of it. It's just psychologically darker and elevated. But Hikari Man seems like it's going to be more, I don't know if it's a seinen, I don't know if it's a shonen, but it seems like it's going to maybe have some shonen elements in it, but be more seinen related. But we'll see. I'm really interested to read this just because, like I said, I like Hideo Yamamoto for Homunculus. And then to wrap it up by Ken Wakui. Ken Wakui. I probably should look up how to say his name because I say it different every time. But Tokyo Avengers, you already know. Tokyo Avengers was going to be on here. This is volume 27, 28. So I want to say, I think this is it goes to 250, 260, 251. So there's 17 chapters in here. I would probably say a book, maybe one or two more. I don't remember how many. I think it only has like 270. So if I did 17, there'll probably be two more of these, and I can't wait for that to come out, because once it's done, I'm rereading this. That's how much I enjoyed it. I love Tokyo Avengers, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I still want to go on Reddit and do a reaction video to all the people talking crap about it, because rightfully so. I mean, they definitely say some stuff in there that's like, okay, yeah, but it just hurts my heart because I think that was the first series I completed. And I loved it. I loved it. Next, we're going to Kodansha, and we have the 2 volumes of manga I was talking about earlier that kind of stalled this haul, but that is Gachiakuta, Volume 8 by Kiyo Urana. Did I say Volume 8? Volume 4. Why did I say Volume 8? Volume 4 and Volume 5. I just read Volumes 1 through 3, and I mean, chef's kiss. There's not enough I could say about this manga. I mean, I like the characters. I think they all have their own like little quirky personality in it, and almost of like a cartoonish way. I know that a lot of times when people say, you know, oh, all the characters have their own personality, and it's like these deep understanding of these characters, and like, oh, that, you know what I mean? It's not that to that level, but they just all are their own, you know, in their own quirky way. It's not too deep, but there's definitely a distinction between them, and it doesn't feel like they just copy and paste characters. The artwork in here does the series justice, and then like when they really want to push a point across, the artwork completely changes, like in terms of like just to show you how intense a moment is. There's times in here where you're sad. There's times in here where you laugh. It's a good time. I highly suggest it if you have not read it already. The anime will be coming out some point this year, I believe. There's some themes in here that relates to classism and consumerism. Like it's just dope. It's just dope how they're able to do it. The only thing I will say is I would like for the stakes to feel a little higher, at least as far as where I'm at. The stakes just don't feel as high as you really want them to be in terms of like they try to scare you with moments, but it's like I know it's not going to be that bad. So if I could get the stakes a little higher, that would be nice. But overall, fantastic stuff here. Next we have That Time I Got Reincarnated by a Slime, Volume 2. I feel like I showed this on the channel already. I know Volume 1 I did, but I feel like I showed Volume 2 on there. Either way, this is created by Fuse, the light novel is, and then Taiki Kawakami did the manga, and I think they did a fantastic job. I believe I mentioned in that video where I was just talking about this and then the other 3 random series that I picked up and just started reading, that Fuse themselves said how great of a job the mangaka did of putting the manga together. They didn't understand like how going from that short or that light novel to the manga would translate, but they think that Kawakami did a fantastic job, and I share their sentiments. I mean, when you think about it, as far as what's in the light novel, because it's in a little excerpt, and Fuse explained it, it's like, oh wow, how did they think to do it like this, like dark scenes, and it's just really good. And then not to mention the manga is really funny, but it also has some serious moments. It also has you feels for these different characters. It also has you like kind of relate to the slime. Like it's really good stuff. So I highly suggest you check it out. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's good stuff. And then the next manga we have, this is one where I didn't really know too much about it at all. I'm not going to lie to you, but I could not ignore how the cover looked. And that's Thunder 3 by Yuki Ikeda. Basically, this story is about a group of friends who go into a different world to save one of their sisters. One of their sisters gets kind of absorbed by this. I can't remember if it's a video game or a movie or something like that. And then they go into the world and try to save her. And that's really it. But like the cover is so dope. It feels like the cliche comic book, look. But then the artwork in here at times does not mimic what's on this cover at all. And so that parallel between the two, I'm very interested to see kind of what that looks like when we start reading that. And then lastly, the last manga I have for you today is Dororo by Osamu Tezuka. I'm sorry, it's late. It's like 12 a.m. Osamu Tezuka. Good stuff. The reason I say it's good stuff is just because I read the back. This is one where I was like, that's a huge manga. Then I went to go pick it up, and I was like, oh, this is Osamu Tezuka. I remember that they just now are starting to print like his stuff. And then I read what the story was about, and thought that was pretty interesting. Basically, if you don't know, I'll just give you a really brief synopsis. It's about this guy who, it's not about the guy. It's a kid whose dad sacrificed him to demons, and he lost all his body parts. And now he's just trying to go and find his body parts from these demons and get them back. I mean, and that's just from reading the back. Like, that's literally strictly from reading the back. And like I said, this manga is huge. I think it's the whole series in this one volume. But the artwork, I know it's an old series. I should have looked up what year it's from. But what is this from? I don't know. It just says that Tezuka, why do I keep wanting to say Tezuka? Tezuka was born in 1928 and passed away in 1989. But the artwork in here shows that it's old, but it also doesn't resemble like the story. It's not as like haunting as you would think, but it's dope art in here. I mean, this is, and then like the packaging is fantastic. So I definitely want to check this out. I will get to this year because I really think that's just a really cool concept in the story itself. And then the packaging really just is what brought my attention to it. But yeah, that. And then once again, as I mentioned, the parallel of art in this, I think the parallel art in that is also be interesting. Taking the story itself and then comparing it to that art, because at times it looks a little really cartoony, but that's some deep stuff there. So that's why I'm looking forward to reading it. But that's it. That's it for this manga haul. It was a short one. I'm not going to be doing as many big manga hauls this year. Manga hauls will still come every month like they did last month. That's not going to change. Well, not last month, last year, as well as the year before. I am going to continue doing manga hauls every single month. I am just going to slow down on how much I get, simply just because I have a lot of stuff to read. If you cannot tell, I'm really focused on just reading as much of my collection as I can. I had big goals when I first started collecting manga of getting a lot of series like, oh, I watched the anime for this. Let me get all those. So that's a big part of my manga collection. Oh, I heard about this and I don't, I'd rather read it than watch the anime. Got those. Oh, I never heard of this and they're hard to get. Let me collect them on and I'll start. Like, it's just kind of like that's been a pattern of my collection. And so now I'm at the point where I'm very happy with what I have. And it's not to say I don't want more. I want plenty more. I already have ideas and how I'm going to set up my room. And when I continue buying more shelves, because I think I got to get another shelf. So all of that is planned. It's just more so I definitely want to read what I got and then slowly start buying more. So if you probably just want, this was a lot here now that I'm thinking about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not going to count on camera, but it's still a good amount, but I definitely want to slow it down just a little bit. Also because I am reading other books now. As you saw, I had the Brandon Sanderson book, Way of Kings. I'm not reading that right now. Right now I'm reading, I think, The Alchemist. After I just finished reading, I read Sword of Kaisen, which that was the first book I've read since high school. Like first real book I've read since high school. And all the way through. I started Dune and then stopped because I was reading some manga. But that was like 600 and something pages. So that was a huge commitment for me. Now I'm reading The Alchemist just because everybody talks about how classic it is and it's really short. So I'm zooming through that on my Kindle. But yeah, I'm also reading other books as well. So I know that if I buy so much manga, I won't be able to keep up when it comes to reading traditional books and then reading manga at the same time. Because then my collection is going to get out of hand where I've bought more than I've read or seen. And I don't want that. So I'm trying to knock that number down. So yeah, I just won't have as many big manga hauls, but still, you will see me still collecting series and whatnot, because I think there's a volume of something that's supposed to come out soon that I want to get, that I'm supposed to be reading. I don't remember. Either way, thank you so much for watching. Lots of content coming your way, all kinds of ideas that I have. So I really appreciate you sticking with me. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.